Folks, let me give it to you straight about this whole Daunte Wright situation. Daunte Wright was a dumbass. He was a complete dumbass. Now, before those of you in the BLM Antifa SJW movement demand that my YouTube channel be taken down because you think I'm being insensitive or that I'm a racist, Daunte Wright had an outstanding warrant for robbing and assaulting a woman at gunpoint, and he had an unregistered weapon. I thought you SJW types were for women's rights. So if you're for women's rights, why are you defending somebody, a lowlife, who robbed and assaulted a woman at gunpoint? I'm sorry, but I don't have any sympathy for people like that. Is it sad that he died? Yes. And this officer, they admit that they made a fatal mistake. I don't think this was intentional. In fact, I know it wasn't intentional. But ultimately, the blame lies on Daunte Wright. Because all he had to do was comply with the officers. And I love this one. Did you see this? I caught this when I was at work Monday night. NBC News published this article. Now, I can't remember if it came out Sunday night when this event unfolded, or if they published it Monday night. But the title of the article, and I'm just paraphrasing here, Daunte Wright may have been pulled over for having expired tags, but he was ultimately pulled over because of DWB, driving while black. Really, NBC News? Barely any of the facts had come out in this case. You're already publishing this article, and you're pulling out the race card. Well, screw you, NBC News. And you looters and rioters in Minneapolis, because I caught this last night just before I left work. They were setting fires in Brooklyn Center, which I take it is the armpit of Minneapolis, aka the ghetto. So they're setting fires in Brooklyn Center, burning down Minneapolis, and they were disrupting diners in Texas at this restaurant, demanding justice. Well, this incident didn't take place in Texas. It took place in Minneapolis. But I got news for you, those of you who were looting, rioting, still doing that tonight in Minneapolis. And if you follow the series, you know that I write music in my spare time. I'm an amateur composer. So I have a day job. I do this YouTube channel on the side, and I work in the hospitality industry. And last night when I was checking somebody into the hotel, met a woman who was formerly from the Ukraine. Wonderful lady. She spoke perfect English, very intelligent. Had her family with her, beautiful family. And thought to myself, here's a woman who lived behind the Iron Curtain, who saw police brutality, real police brutality, up close and personal. She lived under the thumb of the Soviet Union. You people in the BLM, Antifa SJW movement have no clue about police brutality. You have no idea what it was like to live behind the Iron Curtain or in Nazi Germany. So it's time you sit down and shut up. You can protest, that's fine. But you're going to burn down your city, loot these stores, a Foot Locker, a Starbucks, and then you want the government to give you money so you can rebuild the community that you burned to the ground? To hell with all of you. I'm sorry, but I do not have any patience for anybody like that. If you want to come to the table and you want to discuss this issue of racial relations regarding the police or what have you, fine. But don't be looting, rioting, and burning down your city and expect a handout after you do it. And if you actually take a look at these statistics, I have this from Statista.com. Now, I've talked about this in a previous video a while back, but it's worth repeating these stats. Because once you take a look at this, why, you would think that police officers have no regard for white lives, that they care more about black lives than they do white lives, according to the information I have here. Just hear me out on this. So going back to 2019, 370 whites were killed, shot and killed in altercations with police, 235 blacks, 158 Hispanics, 39 other. In 2020, it went from 370 whites to 457 whites shot and killed in altercations with police. From 235 for blacks to 241, from 158 to 169 for Hispanics, and it went down from other 39 to 28. As of right now, April 2021, we have 50 whites who have been shot and killed in altercations with police, 30 blacks, 20 Hispanics, and 1 other. So this shows clearly that whites, more whites, are killed in or shot and killed in altercations with police compared to blacks or any other minority group. And in fact, and I talked about this, I believe, about 2 videos ago, most homicides are committed within the same race. So you have more black on black or white on white homicides than you do black on white or white on black homicides. That's just a fact, folks. It's just a fact. But no, I am not going to feel any sympathy or remorseful, whatever word you want to use here, for somebody who robbed and assaulted a woman at gunpoint. Now here's what happened if you haven't seen the body cam footage. Wright was stopped by the cops because he had expired tags. So the tags are no good. He's pulled over, they run his tags. It turns out he has an outstanding warrant, which was issued about a month earlier. So they arrested him. He struggled with the cops, tried to break free, tried to drive off, and that's when he was shot. And we have to talk about this myth, too, of police brutality being carried out by white male supremacists. Because it turns out that the person who shot Daunte Wright in this incident is a white female officer who had been with the force for quite a while. For a long time, actually. I think about, 26 years? Something like that. Actually looks somewhat young in her photo. But I think she had been with the force for a long time. And she headed up one of these police unions or leagues. And she admits to her mistake, claiming that for whatever reason, in the heat of the moment, she confused her gun for her taser. I don't know how that's possible because your taser is lighter in weight. It's got a different feel to it than your gun does. But somehow, she got flustered, confused her gun for her taser. And you can see this clearly on the body cam footage. But rather than waiting for all the facts to come out in this case, what did you people in the BLM Antifa SJW crowd do? You went out and you looted, you rioted, and you burned down your city. Well, you're not going to get accolades from me for that. Now, I've got an article here from the Pew Research Center that came out February 8th, 2017. So this was, about 5-6 years ago? And this takes a look at the percentage of police officers that have fired their weapon on duty. What's interesting about this study, about these percentages, is once you get to the area of retired military, so veterans that are on the force, it doesn't specify whether these veterans or non-military personnel, whether or not they were black, white, Hispanic, what have you. So here's the breakdown. This is an article by Rich Morin and Andrew Mercer, so once again published February 8th, 2017. Titled the article, A Closer Look at Police Officers Who Have Fired Their Weapons on Duty. So here are the percentages for you. Women, 11%. Men, 30%. White, 31%. Non-white, 21%. Those in the military, or who had military service, 32%. So veterans who made up 30%, who shot their weapon on duty, made up 32%. Non-military made up 26%. And then you take a look at population in these cities. So if it was a city of 400,000 or more, 30%. I believe it was under 400,000, 23%. So these are the stats that are out there. But do you think anybody in the BLM, Antifa, or SJW movement would actually look this up? No. Because they're too busy looting, rioting, and burning down the city. And I just had a laugh when I saw them trying to set fires in Brooklyn Center. I'm thinking, I bet you, as I said, this is the armpit of Minneapolis. Until you start getting off your lazy rear end and rebuilding your community and weeding out the crime in your community and not tolerating the drugs and this, that, or the other, and stop acting like a victim, until you do that, I'm not going to give you the time of day, basically. I'm just not. Because I've had it. I'm over it. And it's funny, I got to share this story. I went to check my comments here on YouTube. Just posted a video. And it was my George Floyd overnights and boredom video. Because I was bored. It was a slow weekend. It felt really eerily quiet, as though something were about to happen. And lo and behold, Sunday night it did, with this Daunte Wright situation. But somebody wrote me. He said something to the effect that I was a white colonizer and the cops are bad. But he spelled white, W-Y-T. And I simply wrote back to him and said, thank you for watching the video. But I explained to him, hey, there were incidences going back way back when, World War I and World War II, where you had anti-German sentiment in this country. Talked about this before, the David Hennessy affair or murder trial where 11 Italian Americans were lynched within feet of a Confederate monument because people weren't happy with the verdict. 1891 that happened. In the middle of Jim Crow. To 11 Italian Americans. That's what I wrote back to this guy. I told him, hey, you have this happen to Italian Americans. The Irish, the Germans, the Polish, the Italians when they came to this country weren't necessarily welcomed here with open arms. But once again, this shows you how education has failed this country. Why you need to loot, riot, and burn down your city, your neighborhood, over a situation that doesn't really involve you. Now, it may affect you remotely because you have a minority that was shot in this incident. I can understand that. But Daunte Wright had an outstanding warrant. That's why he was arrested. It wasn't because he was driving while black. He had expired tags. Had it just been the expired tags, they would have probably given him a ticket. He would have paid a fine, go to court for that. And that would have been the end of it. But no, he wanted to fight the system, so to speak. You know what I think's happening is I think a lot of these people are starting to believe after seeing the George Floyd incident or what happened in Atlanta, let's say the Michael Brown case, you name it. I think they're wanting to become martyrs. And that's very, very dangerous. When people want to become martyrs for the quote-unquote cause. Because in the end, they don't win anything. They lose their life. And their community doesn't gain a damn thing from doing that, from them doing that. So I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, please click that like button, subscribe, hit me up on Instagram at hashtag Jason Composes. Leave comments below. You can now reach me at Twitter, Voice of the Composer at Twitter. Now, here's how I came up with the title for this video tonight. This afternoon, I slept in kind of late. Usually I'll get up, I'll make some coffee, lay back down, wait till the coffee's ready, get back up, have some coffee, get going. Because I'm more of an afternoon guy, evening guy, kind of a night owl. And the word stupidity kept coming to my mind. Stupidity. Because the definition of stupidity is doing something over and over again and expecting a different result. And I thought that's a perfect title for this video. That Daunte Wright was a dumbass. Anybody who makes the same mistake over and over again, doesn't learn from it, or thinks they're going to get a different result, they are a dumbass. I don't care what their color is. So keep that in mind before you start looting, rioting, and burning down a city, or raiding a Foot Locker, or a Starbucks. So Voice of the Composer is saying, peace out, I'll catch you next time, stay safe everybody, and God bless this great country.